Welcome to Navigating Consumer and Family Law Challenges. Insights from SoCal's trusted attorneys.
Hello and welcome to Navigating Consumer and Family Law Challenges. Insights from SoCal's trusted attorney, Amanda Hill. With a focus on family law, Amanda offers helpful, caring, and professional legal services and advice. I am your host, Kevin Rosenquist, and today's episode is The Digital Divorce: How Social Media Shapes Family Law Cases. Amanda, so good to see you again. Thanks for being here.
Hi, good to see you as well.
All right, so social media, people overshare nowadays, and it's a problem. So in your experience thus far, how has social media become a factor in divorce and custody cases in recent years?
I mean, it can be critical. It can change an entire case. I mean, a lot of times it's that smoking gun that you need to discredit somebody who, for example, in a custody case is claiming, I'm not drinking and driving, but then they post on Snapchat of them literally in a beer can, like with a beer can driving their truck. And I use that as an example because that actually happened on one of my cases.
Why would you do that anyway? I mean, there's so many things wrong with this situation.
Yes. Well, I'll just say that the other party involved that posted this video was in their early 20s and obviously clearly was not thinking straight and posted it on Snapchat and didn't realize that my client still had access to that to get a screenshot of it.
Wow, that's crazy. Can social media really impact custody decisions? Like especially regarding a parent's behavior or lifestyle? Is that something that happens often now?
I wouldn't say often, but it certainly is evidence you can use because it's a party admission. So if you're posting it on public or you're posting it and you have friends of a friend that can take screenshots of it, or a video that you're posting, like the example I just gave, it certainly can be utilized to show proof of whatever claim somebody is making against you. So you definitely want to always be really careful of what you're posting.
Yeah, that's good advice, I think, in general. Really.
Yeah.
What are some of the most common mistakes that you see people make on social media during a divorce or a custody battle?
I would say the worst one is talking poorly about your ex-spouse on a post and venting on a public forum and thinking that nobody's going to read into it or nobody's going to see it or a mutual friend's not going to send that to their other spouse. So I always tell my clients, like, before you post, think twice. And in fact, there's a whole page disclaimer in my retainer agreement that I have my clients sign, explaining to them the do's and don'ts of social media when going through the process, because again, I've had it where it makes a huge impact on their case because they don't think twice and they post something or they forget to make their accounts private. And once it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah, I think that's something people forget. That it's there. It's there and it's not going anywhere until you take it down. And even then people might still have it.
Right.
I had a friend many moons ago on Facebook who had a very public, if you will, divorce argue. Like they were basically fighting with each other on Facebook. Like it was one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever seen. I think I ended up unfollowing him because I couldn't take it. I'm like, this is so awful. Like it's watching a terrible but real reality TV show. Is that something that you've seen where couples will kind of fight it out on social media, and then does that get used in proceedings and in court?
It certainly can. Maybe comments on photos, things
Sure.
of that nature. The more common scenario I see is other people getting involved, like new relationships or family members starting to comment on things, and it gets way messy. So, honestly, I encourage most of my clients to, if you can withhold, or unless you're absolutely addicted to social media and you have to post every day or whatever it may be, from posting anything, unless it's literally like, a nice family photo of your kids at the park or whatever, even that can be used against you because, oh, you said you weren't going to take them to that park, or you were late to so-and-so and you told me it was because your tire blew, whatever. It could always be twisted and used against you, unfortunately. And if you can wait until after the process is done, that's the best advice.
Yeah, abstinence is the only way.
Yeah, exactly.
Way. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, talk about throwing fuel on a fire. Like if you already have a contentious divorce, I mean, you start spouting off on social media, and that's just going to make it 10 times worse.
And it's not a good look, especially if you share children. And what's crazier is I've seen it where they forget, like a party or my client, they'll forget that they have teenage children. And that stuff is going to impact them for a long period of time afterwards. Like, dang, my parents couldn't even keep it together long enough to like not post it, right? So just, even if you think, oh, I've deleted the post or I made my account private now, it doesn't mean that somebody hasn't previously taken a screenshot of it and is saving it,
Yeah, that's a good point, especially when you have older kids like that are going to see that, because I mean, obviously it's no good to try to pit your kids against the other party. That's a no, but you're also you don't want to do that on social media either, or try to pit your friends and stuff against people. I mean, it's just, you're right. It's a bad look. So how can posts, pictures, comments, all that stuff on social media, how is that used as evidence in divorce or custody proceedings?
So I'll give you an example. Let's say we have a custody case and one side is saying, I believe this other person uses marijuana. Now, we're in California, it's legal, so no problem, except for if they're claiming that they don't use it or they're claiming they're under a court order, because sometimes a court order will be made that neither party can use certain substances 12 hours prior to their custody time. And you can get a timestamp showing, well, this is only 2 hours before they came and picked up my kids. And they're posting on social media that, they just went to the weed shop and picked up new stuff. I mean, you would be shocked at some of the stuff that people will post. Yeah. Then that certainly can be screenshotted, submitted as an exhibit to the court to show that they're not being truthful with the court, or they're violating a court order, and that can impact what the court decides as to what the parenting plans are.
You made the comment before that some people are just addicted and have to post. So if you know that that's the kind of person you're representing, what's your advice? What do you tell them to avoid? How do you tell them, how do you coach them to handle social media if they absolutely have to be on it?
To limit what they actually post and what they comment on, and to think twice before they do it, to go through with a fine-tooth comb and see who they have as their friends, even if their accounts are private, to really think, is it possible that person is still talking to my ex-spouse, for example, or my co-parent, and really make sure the settings are there for privacy. And if you're viewing stuff, even if you're viewing stuff and you're leaving a comment, just think twice about it. Because again, even those comments can be, if somebody sees them and screenshots them, can be used. Like, great seeing you at that party on Saturday, for example. And then you told the other spouse or your ex-spouse that, oh yeah, sorry, I couldn't have the kids over the weekend because I was sick. Right? Just those little things that people don't think about. And also, I always encourage my clients to have communications with their immediate family about them as well, not posting about what they're going through.
That's a great idea.
I'm not saying, oh, deadbeat dads, for example, deadbeat dads, my poor daughter's having to deal with one again, right? Even that, it's just not a good look. And it also, let's say, for example, the mom has to be called as a witness in the case because it's litigating at this point, and there's something related to her testimony. She's going to be seen as a biased witness if they're able to pull up that post and show, oh, well, see here, she's just saying it because she never liked the guy, or, she's claiming he's a deadbeat. So how can her testimony really be that neutral, right, as to whatever she's testifying to?
Yeah. And what do you recommend clients do to protect their online privacy during a divorce or custody case? Like what advice do you give when things are getting started?
Essentially going and seeing what accounts they have, because sometimes people forget that they even, like, for example, Twitter, which is now X, right? Oh, I used to have an account there, and like maybe they didn't think it was still active. So go through and make a list of all the accounts that you do have, see what the settings are. Sometimes it's best to create a whole new one that maybe if you really are one of those people that are addicted and want to be able to go through and look at other people's posts and comment, maybe create a new one that does have a lot more private settings on it, or is just for your core group of friends that the other side doesn't have access to or know about. That, I mean, obviously I'm not encouraging people to create false accounts to then go and stalk somebody on social media, or I'm saying just to create that setting of being able to have that privacy using a new account. But also too, again, I really sit down and tell them, if you can really abstain for a little while and keep it to a minimum, that's really what's best.
What about mutual friends and things like that? I don't know. I mean, I know you don't want to, you're telling people don't air your dirty laundry on social media. Just don't do it. But talking to mutual friends, things can just sort of happen. I mean, how do people generally handle that?
I think one of the biggest tips I can also give is being careful of, like, for example, posting your new relationship when it's maybe
Mhm.
maybe you're still going through and navigating, for example, a custody dispute, right? And you already know that the other spouse is not comfortable with introducing that new relationship to the children, right? So just limit what you post or make it private. And I mean, I feel like I've said it a few times, but I don't know what else to really say. One of the other things that I would say, though, would be, even politics, right? Like commenting on politics, commenting on one I've had to deal with in the past is vaccinations and your stance on vaccinations. Because in California, it's a law. You got to vaccinate your kids or they can't go to public school, right? Even private school now, with some exceptions, very, very limited exceptions. So even just posting your stance on something is really, you may feel like, well, I have freedom of speech and I should be able to post and say whatever I want. Sure, you do have that right, but think twice before you do, because it could have a long-term impact on your case.
What kind of advice would you give to parents who are co-parenting in the age of social media, especially when it comes to things like communication and boundaries?
Sure. I guess just to clarify, do you mean like with each other or like navigating it with their children?
Maybe both. Just navigating in the age of social, trying to co-parent in the age of social media is different than maybe what other people have done in the past. As far as boundaries go, as far as communication and how to handle that, what do you typically recommend?
So first, I'll answer in regards to co-parenting with the other co-parent. And I would say I wouldn't really have any communication with them on social media and keep it to either something else in writing, either a text message, email, or a parenting app. But definitely you don't want to have to like go back and scroll through like Instagram messages, right? And especially if you have to later use it in court, right? Or show proof that you agreed to a change in the schedule, for example. So I would say, not utilizing it if you're in conversing with your co-parent, unless you're on such good terms that you're like liking and hearting their pictures of their, dog
Of
or
them and
whatever.
their new beau.
Yeah. So, I mean, which is a very rare situation, right?
Very rare, yeah.
And then in regards to, let's say, for example, you have teenagers or middle schoolers who are just now making their own accounts. So important to get on the same page and communicate about what each household is going to allow for the children. Because if you have, completely different parameters in both the households, it can cause a lot of issues because
Mhm.
obviously we know with young people, social media is a huge thing that they utilize very often. And if they are going to have their own cell phone, for example, what settings are going to be used? Are they going to have carte blanche, ability to utilize it whenever they want? Or at night, are they going to be giving it, one of the clients I've had in the past, they have to give it to their parent before they go to bed at night. So they're not like doom scrolling all night as they're supposed to go to bed to go to school the next day. So, just getting on the same page with your co-parent as much as possible is really important because it's going to have a long-term impact on your kids.
How far back can kind of incriminating social media posts go? Like if you're in a marriage and everything's going fine, and maybe you're posting a lot of pictures of you drinking, and later on, years later, the divorce happens and those pictures are still up there. Are those still relevant if the other spouse is saying things like, oh, he drinks way too much or she drinks way too much?
I mean, this can be a very attorney answer, but in short, it depends.
Yeah.
Right. So for example, if the allegation is they have a long-standing history of abusing alcohol, certainly historical evidence is going to be helpful to prove that. But then a counter argument to that for the other side would be, yeah, but for example, assuming this is true, you still allowed me to be alone with my kids and we would drink and there would be no incident or nothing happened after that. I never got a DUI and we still lived happily. And you saw how much I drank regularly and never raised it as an issue before. So to kind of call into question the credibility of the alleged concern, if in fact, it's very far apart from the current allegations.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not like, because I was going to say like, it's almost like most people don't think they're going to get divorced, obviously, but to be careful what you're posting, maybe with your kids or anything, period, like family related stuff or anything like that could be come back to bite you later in life.
Right. I mean, again, Unless you're just posting, hey, my kid just won a student of the month at school. I think you're going to be good. I think you're going to be safe with that one.
If you followed up with, and we went out and partied afterward, maybe that's not the best thing to
Yeah. Then I took my 17-year-old to go drink at home. Maybe not the best idea.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to make a note of that. All right. All right. Well, thank you for joining us on Navigating Consumer and Family Law Challenges. Insights from SoCal's trusted attorney, Amanda Hill. To connect with her firm, visit KandHLawGroup.com. And please like and subscribe to our channel and leave us a review if you can get a chance. Amanda, always great to see you. Thanks so much for the chat.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.